All right. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope you're all having a great Monday. We're here today to talk some Warzone. I am Fizzer. I am the creator of this game, Warzone. Before we start, I like to go over a little spiel just in case anyone doesn't know who I am or what I do. So I created this game, Warzone. At least it's more known as Warzone now, but I created it back in 2008 under a different name. Been working on this for now 17 years, coming up on 18 years. A few months, I'll be able to say 18 years. That'll be a thing. So I've been working on this game for a long time, and I hope to continue working on it the rest of my life. We're doing a stream today where you all can ask me any questions. Let me adjust my microphone a little bit here. Feel free to ask me any questions. If you're here live, just drop your questions in chat. 13 years playing it. Wow, that's impressive. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. I'm also going to go over questions that were pre-asked on this thread. And I'm going to be going over all the new stuff from the update 5.41. This is the update that just landed a few days ago. Microphone improvement. Oh, holy microphone movement. Yeah. So I'm going to go over all the updates, and we're going to be talking about everything Warzone. I noticed this. Can't use split screen on Android for Warzone anymore. I swear I did it before. I've actually never used split screen on Android. I don't know how that works, to be honest. I've never tried to use it with Warzone. Does Warzone not support it? As far as I know, nothing's changed related to that. If it worked before, it should still work, as far as I know. I don't know if there's something I would have to do to enable split screen to work with the app. There's like a full screen flag or something like that. Maybe I have to set something like that. I don't know. If that's a thing, feel free to submit that to me. I can take a look and see what we can do. But moving on, we're going to talk about the new stuff that was just introduced in the recent update. So starting off with the Find Me feature. This is a thing that I think is a long time coming. This was inspired by a mod, actually. It was inspired by Just a Dutchman, who is here today. So thank you, Just a Dutchman, for inspiring this feature. What this is if you're ever in a very large game, and let's see, I'm in a large game, aren't I? Yeah, Mega Diplo. I joined a diplomacy game. It's not something I do very often. But here is what was this, like a 200 player diplomacy game or something like that, 150 people or something like that. And this is a light fog game. One of the problems with light fog is sometimes it can be very difficult to locate yourself. If you're just on a map like this, you're like, where the heck am I? So what will happen now with the most recent update is below the commit button up here. I can't see it right now because I'm just in history. But there will be a button that says Find Me. And when you do that, when you click that, you will get, hold on, go down to F. You will get this screen, and it will tell you how many territories you have and where they are. So in this case, I have 2 territories. I have, I won't try to pronounce this one in the west and this one in the north. You can click these middle magnifying lenses to put little circles to show you where it is. And it will also group up territories if you have multiple. Like if I can advance a little bit into this game. Let me do that again. I should have just clicked change player. You can see I have 5 territories in the north. Look at that. This is the same screenshot I used in the blog. So yeah, that's what it is. And the way it determines north versus west is it divides the map into 9 regions, 9 rectangles. So if you imagine like a rectangle in the top left corner, that is called the northwest. And then it looks at the bounds of all these territories. And if they fall entirely within one of those rectangles, it will say north or northwest or west or whatever. If you have a group that spans multiple, it might not say any. It might just say like it might just say 5 territories, and you have to click the magnifying lens. One of the things you can do with this that you couldn't do with the mod that inspired this is you can actually view anyone. You're not limited to just viewing yourself. So I can click on anyone's name, And wow, this is laggy. But yeah, and then you can see 17 territories in the center. There he is. How do you like diplomacy type of games? It's not my favorite type of game. I'm more of a strategic 1v1 type person. Can we make some adjustments to the real-time nudge button? Make it work with manual boot. Make it work as soon as the game starts. Make it 1 nudge per player per game. Right now I think it's a nudge every 30 minutes. So I think that will prevent people from getting nudged too much. So I don't know why the 1 nudge per player per game is necessary. But make it work with manual boot. Possibly, yeah. I'd be surprised. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I think that's a reasonable change. You can post that to the feature request forum. Let's talk about the feature request forum. If you ever want to change something in Warzone, the feature request forum is how you do that. You can come in here, you can create your own idea, or you can vote on other people's ideas. You can put up to 3 votes into a single idea, and this is basically your way of influencing what you want me to work on. I mention this every stream, just the first time we get a feature request. And make it work as soon as the game starts. I'm not sure what you mean by as soon as the game starts. So the idea of nudge is somebody should only be eligible to be nudged if they're actually like being delinquent, if that makes sense. Like if they are not taking their turn when they're supposed to. It's like when you say the words make it work as soon as the game starts. I would say as soon as the instant the game starts, everyone should not be eligible to be nudged because they haven't done anything wrong yet. It's only if it has been their turn for a long enough time and they're eligible or they're getting close to getting booted, that's when they should be able to be nudged. It wouldn't make sense to annoy someone and like have them get nudged immediately when the turn advances. Like they just got a notification when the game advanced. They don't need another notification from a nudge. Love the mod icons, by the way. They're great. Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. Would it be cool if it updated live with the history moving? That would be cool, yes. I can never find the big clan battle games when they open. Is there somewhere specifically I should be looking? Those are the games I'm most interested in. Right now, they are posted in open games. And I realize that's not a perfect answer for you because there are 114 open games right now. And if one of them was the Clan Rumble, you might not see it. So there's not a really good mechanism for finding the Clan Rumbles. What you could do, I mean, that'd be a great feature suggestion, I think. If you post that to the feature request forum, like some way to get a notification when the Clan Rumble goes out or something like that, I think that's a reasonable request. What's about some Territory.io style mode? I don't know what that means. I've never played that. I also don't know if that's an ad or not. I asked this before. Is there any way to make quick match voting pages linkable? Currently, there is not. Yeah, I remember you asking that before. Currently, there's not. You feel free to add that to the feature request form. I know we talked about this before. It's mostly about people forgetting they joined. Sure, but if they get it, Warzone already sends a notification when the game starts. So getting a second notification immediately isn't going to do anything. There should be a history of clan rumbles too. Any new ones pinned to the top of the list? Sure. Off-topic question, am I bugging? Yeah, what point does the UI table initialize when you open a mod menu? I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would have to refresh my recollection on that. So, sorry, I can't tell you off the top of my head. Going back to Find Me, the other thing it can do that the mod couldn't do is it can find neutral as well. Where was that game? So in this game it would not be too useful, but maybe when you get on later, there's probably a point in this game where if you advance where there are fewer neutral territories and you'd be like, I want to find neutral. This game's kind of a mess. There's just stuff everywhere, but you get the idea. You can find teams as well. That's the other thing. Oh yeah, sorry. So I mentioned that you can click the Find Me button that is on the left corner, but there's a way to access it at any time. The Find Me button only shows up at the start of the game. You can find it any time if you go to Statistics and you click this little magnifying lens on a player. Of course, that player has nothing, but if if I go to a player that actually has something, you click this little magnifying lens, and then you can see all their stuff at any time. That is also how you'll access teams. Is in a team game, you'll have a team tab up here. And that's an interesting way to group up teams that might be useful. If you're ever in a team game and you have a hard time visualizing where all the teams are, that's one of the new ways that might help solve that problem. Okay, so that's Find Me. The other big thing that's in this update is guides. Do you play the game with the keyboard shortcuts a lot, or mostly by clicking buttons in the UI? I do use the keyboard shortcuts quite a bit, yes. Guides. So guides are the biggest feature of this update. Now, I know a lot of you guys are already experts on Warzone, and you don't really care about guides. But this is a big feature. It's been a long time coming. I just wanted to say thank you for everything. You're welcome for everything. Thanks for dropping in. I'm glad you enjoy the game. So guides are something that, honestly, I've been wanting to do this, to solve this problem for over 10 years. This has been a long time coming. Finally getting the guides project off is a big weight off my chest, to be honest. But what this is here to try to basically teach new players how to play Warzone in a way that's actually easy to follow. So Warzone has always had a basic tutorial. If you go to single player, you probably know the tutorial that I'm talking about. The basic tutorial that teaches you like how to deploy and how to attack and what bonuses are. This is the basic tutorial that Warzone has, but really it only covers the absolute basics. And there really needs to be a way to help players learn more than just the basics. Basically, you have to get everywhere from just how to do basic attacks and what bonuses are to everything else that you need to know to learn to be able to compete in a Warzone game. Now, basically, before guides existed, the only way to do this was to basically look at the wiki. If you think about all the other features that Warzone has, like if you go to the settings menu, Warzone games are extremely configurable. When you create one, the game creator can go through and they have all these things they can tweak. You can see you have this giant-ass settings menu that shows all the settings that go into making a Warzone Classic game. And it's kind of crazy. If you're a new player trying to understand how to play a game, trying to open up this settings menu and read through these is basically impossible. Like, it's just, none of these stuff makes sense. And yeah, there's a little question mark button next to everything where you can actually click on it and you can learn what they all mean, but nobody's going to go through. You're never going to expect a first-time Warzone player to open up a settings menu and click through all these links and read them all. It would frankly be ridiculous. And it's also really hard to follow because you click on a page and then you come in here and it tells you, oh, so this is what move order does. Oh, there's 3 types of move orders. There's random, cyclic, and no luck cyclic. And then if you're a first player, you'll be like, okay, well, I don't know which of these sections I need to read. So now you have to go back to your game. You got to scroll through this list till you find the move order. I mean, this is assuming you opened it from somewhere else. But you got to scroll through this list until you find move order. And they'd be like, oh, the move order is set to cycle. Okay, now I know. So now you go back to the wiki and you see cyclic move order. And you're like, oh, okay, the first turn of the game is randomized just so it would be in the random move order. Oh, well, now this is talking about random move order. So now I have to go read this, and then I can come back and I can read this. And now I finally understand move order. It's like the game sends you on a fetch quest where it tells you, you should want to understand this setting, you got to go read this wiki page, and then you got to go look up the setting, and then you got to come back to the wiki page. And some of these pages actually talk about other pages, like when you go to basic combat. If you open the wiki page for basic combat, this gives you a whole bunch of details that all assume you're talking about a game that has luck enabled. So you could read this whole thing and then realize, oh wait, none of this actually applies to 95% of Warzone games, because then you have to go read the luck modifier page because they have different settings, and then you have to understand that. And then you have to understand rounding mode, and it's like, oh my god, it's like a nightmare. Honestly, I don't think anyone actually learns to play Warzone by reading these wiki pages. The wiki pages are great if you already understand the majority of Warzone, settings and you want to just like look up one thing, that's really where the wiki pages shine. But if you're a brand new player and you're trying to learn everything from scratch, trying to learn everything from the wiki is basically a nightmare. I don't think anybody actually does that. The way most people learn to play Warzone is they just jump into a template. They jump into a game and then they play it a bunch of times and they learn by failing. Or they learned by other people helping teach them. And so it's kind of a nightmare. And this is what the guides project is designed to solve. So let's talk about guides, but I'm going to catch up on my questions. Guides are great. Hopefully they can help with some retention of new players before they get scared away from the steep learning curve. Yes, that's what they've been about. You've been gaming since 2010, enjoyed every minute? Wow, that's a long time. Glad to have you. It's a lot of links, yes. Regarding Nudge, am I the one who championed the enhancement? It was intended to solve a certain problem, people joining games getting distracted, ultimately getting voted and voted. Yes, I do remember your feature request, and it took a long time because I wasn't sure how to solve it. I had envisioned a whole bunch of ideas actually about like, maybe we should notify people multiple times. The current solution doesn't really solve the problem. I understand that, and I'm open to brainstorming how to figure out how to solve that problem. Will the entire wiki be migrated into guides eventually? Not the entire wiki, but I do plan to do a major wiki review where I go through the whole wiki and I align it more with the guides. I think it makes sense for the information to be on both places. But ultimately, the wiki will have more than the guides will have. So they're never going to be 100% overlap. The guides are really designed to be like a tutorial to teach you step by step how to play. And I'll get more into that in a minute. But have you gathered any info on how well received the new seasonal boot time were, by the way? Can't remember if you did a survey when you changed it. It seems so unpopular in the strat community. I have not gathered any info, but as far as I can tell, I thought it's working great. I know there's always some grumbling, but generally, I think faster boot times are more popular. Luck is very confusing, even with the wiki. Yes, it is. So coming back to boot times, if you have my thoughts on generally, I'd have to look at the data to see if participation is actually up or down, is basically what I would want to look at. And I don't know off the top of my head. I wish you could link your account with your mobile to get WhatsApp message telling you to take your turn. So you can, Warzone does support notifications to mobile. It's not a WhatsApp notification, it'll just be an Android or an iPhone push notification. You should be able to get notifications on your mobile device. If that isn't working for you, you should let me know, because it should be possible. How do I build a better AI? Warlet.ai repository link is returned 404. The Norman fork is available. How to get the new AI into production? I'm talking about so many things at once. Warzone did used to have an open source AI repository. I open sourced it. This was probably like over 10 years ago when I first open sourced it. And ultimately, over the course of about 10 years, we got 0 contributions. I was hoping somebody would step up to want to build a new Warzone AI or improve it in some way. And nobody ever did. And I was kind of disappointed by that, but that's okay. And I took it down ultimately because I don't think a conventionally coded AI is the future of Warzone. I want to see like a reinforcement learning type AI. And so that is my plan. Someday I do hope to build something like that, or somebody else might. But at the current moment in time, that project is basically closed. You can enable push notifications. You have notifications, yes. Regarding Nudge, I'd be willing to help brainstorm. You need to read out to me as many messages don't go through to you. Sure. JK doesn't always work, but WhatsApp messages are usually a lot more noticeable. WhatsApp messages are more noticeable than Warzone push notifications? I don't actually use WhatsApp, so I don't know why they would be more noticeable. As far as I know, all notifications on phones go through the same system. It's mainly just the one day that's very unpopular. So I think a lot of people don't realize that there's a bunch of banked time. So when you talk about one day, it's not a one-day boot. Like you could go multiple days without playing and not be booted. The bank time is, I think, I tend to lean more into high bank time, low repeatable turn, low turn bank time. Low turn boot time, high banked time. That way it punishes people who are overly stalling and helps the game actually complete in a reasonable time frame. So when people say like, oh, I don't like one-day boot because then I have to play every day, well, that's not accurate. It's not a one-day boot. You can spend multiple days in between each turn. If you just can't do that for every turn. I know some people want to take like 3 days on every turn. In my opinion, that's too slow. The game would take like months. I think with the new age of deep learning, people are more interested in advancing the AI. I do too, and I'm interested in doing that. But I'm not sure if that would work with simulating the game. You can do all the training iterations. I mean, Warzone has pretty simple mechanics. You can probably re-implement it in 20 minutes if you just want to train an AI on something. Okay, back to guides. Finally caught up on all the questions. So I was talking before about how the wiki, learning to play on the wiki is a nightmare. So the way guides solve that problem is because guides are aware of the game you are looking at. So if we go to a game like, I should have prepared something ahead of time, but if we go to a game like any one of these, I would prefer, I kind of want a comm bomb game, commanders and bomb cards. Here we go. This was one. So if you go to a game and you go to help and you click on guides, it will pop up these guides. Oh, that's annoying. Look at that. When I drag the dialogue, it also moves the map. That's a 3D thing. I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna write that down. But when you go to this guides menu, it's going to basically look at the settings of your game. Oh, look at that. Settings pops up below guides. Oh, I know why that happens. Yeah, that's a bug. Let me adjust the volume here just a bit. So what it will do is it will analyze your game and it will generate a series of guides that are basically tutorials for your specific game. And so going to order sequencing, which is the equivalent of move order, which we were talking about before, basically instead of having to list out every possible move order, it will just look at how your move order works and it will just tell you, here are the settings. That is how your move order works for the game you are looking at. And so that makes it much easier for a new player to learn. Basically, they could read all the guides. The idea is if they read all these guides from start to finish, and there is a next button at the bottom so that you don't have to go back to the main menu. But if you read all these from start to finish, you'll basically know every game mechanic for this template. That is the goal. And I plan to do some playtesting with these. I'm going to give this guide to a new person that's never played Warzone before. I'm going to say, hey, read this, and then play a game, and then tell me how the guide sucks. Tell me what the guide did not prepare you for. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm doing a much heavier use of video and screenshots, which is something the wiki also doesn't do a great job of. The wiki is mostly a lot of text. WhatsApp notifications are probably more noticeable because you get more important notifications on there. You're more likely to pay attention to them. That might be. Does it also tell you that there are other move orders as well? Otherwise, they might think there's only one type of move order. Yeah, so my solution to that is I use the phrase, this game, and I use that phrase a lot. It's like when you come into order sequencing, it'll say, in this game, comma. So basically, that's your hint to, that's true for this game, it might not be true for all games. And if you read the guides a lot, you'll notice that phrase a lot. In this game, blah, 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 blah. In this game, blah, 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 blah. This game uses blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. The other place I feel like this is really useful is with cards. Because understanding the card settings is really complicated. I don't know if people ever go... Some of you guys are experts and you know how to read this. When you see like minimum 1 piece per turn, minimum 1 piece per turn starts with 4 pieces, and then they can also be like weights here, and there can be like initial pieces, which is shown here. There's lots, and then if the number of card pieces you get per turn does not sum to the same number as the minimums for all of these combined, then you have random pieces. You can have a mix of fixed and random pieces, or you can have all random pieces. Like, understanding how cards work, I imagine most people probably don't understand how card distribution works. It gets kind of weird. But with guides, you don't have to, because when you go to the guide, it will basically understand all that for you. It will analyze how... Oops, I clicked wiki. When you go to guides, it will understand how all the distribution works for you, and it will give you a little list of exactly what turn you will get each card and what the likelihood is, and basically it explains it all to you. And this is live today. If you ever are on a game that has funky card settings, click help, click guides, and then click cards, and it will basically break it all down for you. Doesn't have to explain all three of them in detail, but it should at least tell them there's more out there and they need to recheck the guide and other templates. Yeah, potentially. I'm trying to keep the guides as concise as possible, so that's a possibility. You could almost do like a global disclaimer. I'm also thinking about anytime I use the phrase "in this game" or like "this game includes 2 cards." Anytime I say "this game" or "in this game," make that underlined and have it when you click on it or hover over it, it like pops up a little thing that tells you what settings are influencing this sentence. For the first time reader, I might just read "for this game" with the game referencing Warzone. Possibly. I think people will figure that out eventually. But yeah, that is a risk, I agree. Feature request. Ability to search my past games. When I want to recreate a game from the past I have not played in a long time, I have to scroll through so many pages to find it. Instead, it would be cool if I could search for the name of the game in the map. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable request. I will say that is a difficult feature request to implement just because there's like 30 million past games, and right now they aren't very heavily indexed. And adding indexes takes a lot of space because there's so many games, but it's still possible to do. So feel free to add that to the feature request form. If you do run instead of run plus commit, you can manually change the AI orders before committing. You're talking about autopilot. Did I miss a question about autopilot? But it's rather tedious. Generally speaking, the AI is too stupid to actually play for you, so it can only really be used when you're so far ahead it's impossible for you to lose. Yes. Sometimes life happens, missed too much of Clan Wars, got booted, eventually quit the seasonal ladder, booted tournaments. I'm only in multi-template ladder, one large game for clan tournament, but I don't mind now, but during holidays I can participate in some more games, so hopefully. Cool. Does it tell them team games capturing a teammate territory doesn't count? Yes. It will say that, and just like everything, guides is team aware, so if you're not in a team game, it won't tell you that, but if you are in a team game, it does tell you that. Just hopping in to say thank you, Fizz, for making a great game. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thanks for stopping by. I understand you want to keep guides short, but in this game is something people will just read over. Possibly. It is a risk, I agree. I suspect people will only read the headers and pictures to find the section they need more info on. Yeah, if they're an experienced player, yes. If they're brand new and they literally never played before. So first off, I understand guides are not very visible. Most brand new players are not going to click help guides. But this is going to get more integrated over time. This is just for the initial beta release that you have to click help guides. Initially, it's going to like pop up these. Eventually, it will like pop up these guides automatically for a first-time player. Where is the feature request? Discord. Feature. Yeah, JK got you. Okay. So that's the idea behind guides, is they make a customized tutorial for any template. Okay, so the goal is to eventually have them work for any template. Right now, they do not work for any template. A lot of guides are not yet implemented. If you go to help guides, there's this button. Come on. There's this link down here where you can view all the guides. And you can see a lot of these are grayed out. In fact, most of them, all of these are grayed out except for the ones that apply to this game. And these are the ones that aren't implemented yet. If you click it, it just says, sorry, it hasn't been written yet. So not every template is supported yet. In this initial release, only 3 templates are fully supported. And it's Small Earth Auto Distribution, Small Earth 1 Wasteland, and Small Earth Commander and Bomb Cards, which is the one we're looking at here. Those are the 3 templates I picked just to be the first version, so I'm going to do some play testing on these. And then eventually the goal is to have it work for all templates. Instead of a normal tutorial, it can just introduce to the guides as well. Yeah. Although I do like how interactive tutorials, like eventually I might have interactive tutorials as part of these guides. There can be a button in here that you click to launch an interactive tutorial. We don't have any of those yet. Instead, we have a lot of videos and screenshots. I also spent a whole bunch of time building a system to build these videos because these videos, for one thing, I didn't want them to ever be out of date. Like you can see, here's a video of a commander dying, eliminating a player. One of the problems with making these videos is UI. Warzone's UI does change over time. This is one of the problems the wiki has, which is the wiki has screenshots, and many of them are just like so out of date. Like, look at these awful screenshots on the wiki. I mentioned earlier I'm going to do a wiki review. I'm going to be going and updating all these, but there's a lot of old screenshots on the wiki that just don't apply anymore. Either the UI has changed or just information's out of date. There's all sorts of problems with that. So anyway, what I was saying is I made a system for recording these videos that's automated. So I can like remake these videos. If the UI ever changes, I can literally run one script and it will remake every video that's worked, that goes into the guides using the current UI. Have you ever thought of making a simple real-time strategy with the same play concepts? I have not. I kind of like the turn-based system. If you need help gathering stuff for the wiki, let me know. Sure, thanks for the offer. So these GIFs are auto-updated when Warzone updates itself? Yeah, I mean, doesn't happen automatically, but I have one script I can run to just say remake the videos, and it will go make all the videos. So if the UI ever changes, all I have to do is run that script, and then it will put these videos into the next update. And screenshots. Does it take long to run? It probably takes, it takes about as long to record a video as that video is, maybe with some couple seconds of overhead or something like that. I have actually never run it from start to finish, because when I was making the videos, I would like run it for this video and then tweak stuff, and then run it for this video again and tweak stuff again. So I did each video individually. I never ran it once beginning to finish, but it is capable of that. Okay. I think that's everything we need to talk about guides. Is there anything else I need to say? I don't think so. Yeah, so I designed it to be like a rule book. I went on I play a lot of board games. I don't know if you guys play board games, but my idea was like, if you open guides and you read through from start to finish, you should be kind of like reading the rule book for a board game. It should give you that level of knowledge and understanding. I like watching the turn happens. I wonder if there will be a 1.25 or 1.5 or 2x speed option in the future. Show all is cool, but I like in the interactions. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm glad you suggested that, Travesty. That's one of those feature requests that I thought I would get so often, and yet almost nobody ever requests that. I've thought about adding that before in the future too, in the past. I've thought about adding that in the past, and I'm like, nobody ever asked for a speed upgrade. But yeah, I have thought about adding that. You should add that to the feature request form. That is something that I have thought about in the past, but it's currently not an option. You can use the arrows to make it go faster. Yes, you can skip through one at a time. Do you like that animations with it too? You can otherwise just step through the orders with the arrows. Yeah. Some board game rule books are god awful. Yes, that is fair. And the goal is to make mine not god awful. Do you have any examples, Min34? What's the most god-awful rulebook you know of? That is a good suggestion. The only reason I don't use it is it would take ages. Yeah. Okay, so guides. Let's talk about other changes. There's a whole lot to talk about here. So, remove phantom attacks. I know this is something that has been a hot topic lately. Let's talk about phantom attacks. So phantom attacks have been removed in this update. It used to be a thing. So let's talk about what phantom attacks used to be. What was wrong with the phantom moves? Okay, before we get into what was wrong with them, let's talk about what phantom moves are. So a phantom move, when you are playing a Warzone Classic game, let's bring up a Warzone Classic game. So the way a phantom works is let's say you issue all of your attacks, and then at the end, you can actually make a new attack. Now I have 0 armies here. You can see I have 5 armies, and I've already told all of them to go to Brazil. So if I issue more armies to Peru, if I just click OK, it'll say you cannot issue an attack with 0 armies. But if I just go in this box and I type a 1, and then I click OK, it creates an attack here. Now this still works, but it won't actually do anything for you. So, and hold on, I screwed this up because I didn't deploy first. Let me start over. First deploy, send 10 here, then send 1 here. And then if I commit with that, what'll happen is it won't even play it. If I click watch turn, it just skips it. You can see it didn't show anything. But if I go back into history, I can still see that attack is in the orders list. Now, because at the time, even though I typed 1 into the box, there were 0 armies available at the time it executed. So basically Warzone just says, oh, there's 0 armies. He ordered 1 army, but we have 0. So it becomes what's called, I call it a nullified order. It's basically just skipped. It's basically an order that did not happen. And this doesn't actually help you in any way, as in no armies moved or anything, but it can help you in a very rare situation get some information about your opponent. And so this is called a phantom attack. It's a phantom because nothing really happened. Let me pull up an example where it actually did something. So I prepared this ahead of time. Here's a game. And phantom attacks, I used them all the time, by the way. I love phantom attacks. But here's a game where you can see if you go back, and by the way, if anyone did a phantom attack in a game, you will see it in the orders list, even if you're not the player who did it. So you can know if people are using phantoms against you if you go and look. So here you can see I am the brown player. I captured 9 armies here. I sent 4 armies over here in Asia. This is smaller with auto distribution, so we just got random starts. And you can see my starts are probably poorer than I don't know how to pronounce his name, than Yellow here, because he has a first turn bonus. I really, in Asia and Africa, probably am never going to get a bonus. But I moved over here, and I did a phantom. And if we look at the game from, if we look at the game from my perspective, so I just set perspective to me. Basically, I captured 9. I captured 9 here. I hit the wrong button. 9 here, and then I saw his 3 go here. And if you look, this is what's notable. The phantom here, this is the phantom attack. This you can see is separated. The yellow attacks are in between my last attack and the phantom attack. That means I just got some additional information that I would not have gotten if the phantom attack was not there. That information I got basically told me the move order for this game. So let's back up and talk about move order. The move order for this game is set to cycle, which means I get first move on one turn, and then he gets first move on the next turn, and then we go back and forth. Now, when you start a game, though, you don't know where in the cycle you are. But this, if you can observe your opponent's orders, you can sometimes learn where you are. So in this case, the Phantom actually helped me learn the cycle. And the reason I now know the cycle is because I can see that his yellow orders here are in between this 4 and the Phantom. So I know that that means that his first order happened ahead of my first order, and that on the next turn, I will have first move. That's really important in this situation, because I know he has a first turn bonus. And I know that I have 8 here. If he has first turn, he could move back and defend it. But if I have first turn, I can break it. And so the Phantom let me learn that, and then I just know, okay, I can break it, so I can attack first move, and I will get in there before he does, and then all his 2s just bounce off. And that ultimately won me this game. So that's what Phantoms were. Let me catch up on chat. For the card setting, when modify the card parameters, could you add an estimate of the minimum and maximum frequency of occurrence with this setting? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. When you modify the card parameters, you're talking about how often you get the cards? Arcs. It's an interesting game, but they try to huddle it all into 3 pages of explanation, resulting in you needing to play the game multiple times to actually understand the game. Alternatively, a game like Wingspan has such a long rule book that you've forgotten what page 1 said by the time you complete it. It's funny. I have played Arcs. Arcs is a fun game. I have not read the rule book for Arcs. Somebody taught it to me, so I don't know about the rule book. I haven't played Warpspan, but I've played Wingspan. I actually do like Arcs, although I don't know if I'd want to play it that much. It's very dependent on who attacks who. Sometimes you just get ganged up on, kind of like a Warzone FFA. I think it would be cool to make live games that people other than the players could watch in real time, even creating orders. Live games that other people other than the players could watch in real time, even creating orders? Oh, you want to watch people make their orders. But I can't think of a way to do it. See and cheat. Yeah. I mean, probably just live streams, right? Like, we already do that very often, where people live stream and you can see them make their orders. Dutchman made a mod for it, but it's been annoying to set up. Can it really apply to tournaments? You can technically automate it with my mod and API. Streamer mode would be nice. Wasn't zero delay a feature and not a bug? It was never intended. Phantom moves were never intended. It was a side effect. There seems to be an A/B testing of viewing chat history as a pop-up or inlaid on the bottom chat menu. Have you decided on one versus the other? There's no A/B testing going on. What are you talking about? Viewing chat history as a pop-up or inlaid. So the way that works, Ruben, if that's your name, the way that works is if there's more than 100 chat messages, I think, or maybe it's like 300. It might be more like 500. I forget the number. But if there's more than a certain number of threshold of chat messages, it pops up as a dialogue instead of popping up in the chat at the bottom here. The reason that happens is because the dialogue is paged. It has like a page 1, page 2, page 3. And the reason you need the pages is because if there are too many messages and you don't separate it out into pages, it will literally just crash your client. Like, you'll open it up and it will allocate so much memory to display all the messages that it just crashes on mobile devices. So in order to fix for that, so it doesn't want to crash, is it opens it up in what's called the chat dialog, which is paged. If you don't want that, whoa, hold on. I'm trying to bring this over. If you don't want that, you can go into the settings and you can come down here to the button. Where is it? I could have sworn it was in here somewhere. There's a setting to turn that off. I can't remember where it is now. Is it only on the website? Account settings. Chat dialog. I thought there was a setting to turn that off. There's a setting to turn that off somewhere. I don't remember where it is now. There's a setting somewhere to turn off the chat dialog. You can disable it in your app settings. Yes, you can disable it in your app settings. I don't remember where it is. I don't see it right now. App settings. Group deployments. Oh, right here, chat dialog. Yeah, I guess I just couldn't see it before. If you uncheck this box, then it won't happen anymore. But just be warned that if you uncheck this box, your device might just crash if you pull up a game with too much chat. So that's why it works like that. You should embrace these things as features that add depth to your game. Isn't cool? You're learning new stuff a decade later. So I do think it is really cool that players discovered phantom attacks. And I'm amazed. Phantom attacks is something that existed in the game for like 10 years before it was discovered or something like that. It was a very long time. Like, this has existed probably since 2008 when the game was first launched. And I do think it's cool that people discovered that. But I will say that I don't agree that it adds any depth to the game. Once you understand how it works, it's basically just busy work. Every turn you add a phantom to the end of your list. And then you might learn something or you might not. Oh, and by the way, it only helps you learn something maybe 1 in 100 games. Like, I used it all the time. Maybe more than that. Maybe 1 in 100 turns. Maybe 1 in 100 times that you implement a phantom and does actually help you. But actually probably less than that. Probably 1 in 200 turns that you implement a phantom will actually give you anything. In order to find this game, I use phantoms in almost every game. In order to find this game where it actually helped, I had to go back to September 19th. I went through every game in my list trying to find one where a phantom actually helped me. I will say I've been helped by phantoms probably well over 100 times, but I play a lot of games. And so I don't agree that it adds depth. I don't think it's a very good feature. I don't think it's definitely not intentional. It is very unintuitive. and I don't think it actually, there's literally zero strategy to it. You just add a phantom to the end of your list. The only strategy to it, okay, it's not zero strategy. The only strategy is where you add the phantom, but there's almost no strategy to that. You just add it somewhere where your opponent will never see it. Like you can see back here. You could have also done it in Asia. There's, I would say 98% of the time, there's a location you can add your phantom where your opponent will never see it. Every once in a while, you're in a weird situation where you either can't do a phantom because you're attacking every territory, or you can't do a phantom in a place where you can't guarantee your opponent will see it, and you have to stop and think like, okay, should I do it here or here? But even then, most players don't see it because, again, when you click play, it doesn't play it. You only see it if you go back in history, and you would only understand it if you know what phantoms are. So I don't think it's any strategy to phantoms. I think it's mostly busy work. And as part of the guide feature, I wanted to implement every game mechanic into the game into guides. So if phantoms were going to stay in the game, I was going to need to make a guide for them. And I said, nah, this feature is not worth keeping. So I either had to remove phantoms or make a guide for it, and I decided to remove phantoms. Let's see. You've been using them in Rise of Rome since 2014? Nice. Now, did everyone... I don't know. Okay, I don't know if other people knew about them. Phantoms can flip cycles on delay cards. Flip cycles on delay cards. I don't know what I mean by that. So, and just to complete what I was going to talk about, the way phantoms work now and the way it was fixed. So you can still make a phantom. This is a new game. You can see this is... No, this is not. This is another case I was going to show. Where the phantom did not reveal the move order. Another case where phantom helps you. Here's a case where phantoms did not reveal the move order for me because his last attack was after the phantom, but it does reveal something about how many attacks they issued. So phantoms are useful even if you already know the move order. They can help you reveal like how many attacks an opponent issued because you can see, I can see this 4 attack is very late, so I know it issued a bunch of attacks, which can very, very, very rarely actually help you. But that was the other thing I was going to show. I was going to show... I forgot to have a link. So basically what it does now, and I was going to have a link to show this, but I missed it. What it will do now is it will take your phantom and it will put it in the order list after your last attack. So basically it's not separated. You will never have an opponent's attacks in between your phantom and their attacks. So that's how the fix is. I was going to show an example of that, but I forgot to put it in my list. Yeah, let's see. Phantoms are great. It's an advanced move for advanced players that make full use of a quirky but well-defined game ways the game engine works. I don't think it adds any strategic depth, in my opinion. I mean, imagine, would you still feel that way, JK, if everybody knew about phantoms? If every single player knew about it? In my opinion, it doesn't really add anything. If every player knows about it and every player's using it, then it just becomes busy work and it's just tedious. I think the people that like phantoms are more... you can disagree with me if you want, but I think the people that like phantoms are more like people that want an edge. They're like, I'm an advanced player. I want to have an edge over everyone else. Therefore, I have this feature that I know about that you don't know about. Therefore, I'm going to use it to help increase my win rate. And in my opinion, I don't think that's a good reason to keep the feature around. Just to help elite people be more elite. I think you should win on your strategy, not on your knowledge of the game mechanics. Unintentional doesn't have to be bad. Absolutely, I agree with that statement. Just in this case, I think it's better without phantoms than with. All these arguments are fine, right? Considering it's a strategy will only help you with more advanced plays. I think it's fine to have some niche moves that are strategic community not spelled out in a guide. Discovering tactics is a major part of the fun in most games. I would agree. The problem with this is it's not intuitive. Like, you would never... I don't think almost nobody would ever discover the phantoms on their own. Like, as I said, it took over 10 years before one person to discover it. And then I'm guessing only one person discovered it, and then they shared it with everyone else. It's not something that you would ever really discover. I'm not sure if 100% coverage is something you should aim for with the guides. 90% is enough to get people to level 50. From there, they can just interact with the strat community to learn more or learn from their own games. I think that's a valid viewpoint. It's just I don't share that viewpoint. Me personally, if I'm going to learn to play a game, I want to know all the rules before the game starts. Like, I don't want, I play a lot of board games. If I sit down and play a board game and then 90% of the way through the game, somebody tells me there's a new rule or game mechanic that just wasn't spelled out, that was not told, I'd be mad. I'd be like, what? You can't change the rules at this point in time. You need to tell people the rules from the beginning. And then they're up to make the strategy. It's up to them to come up with a strategy within the confines of the rules. Now, if it's a strategy, strategies are different from rules, though. So coming up with strategies, the rulebook should not spell out strategies for the most part. The rulebook should spell out the game mechanics. Delay mechanics work where there's a continuation of your orders. It doesn't restart the cycle. Right, so if you add a phantom before the delay card, you can prolong the cycle and flip the order post-delay card. Oh, that's interesting. I actually didn't know about that. And that probably still works. So, good job. Hello, person here. Strategic depth provided. What is your inspiration for making this game? So I started making this game way back in 2008. I was basically playing other online games with my friends, and I wasn't satisfied with them. I thought I could do better. So one day I did. I just started making it. And my intention when I first started making this game, I just thought I'd play a few games with my friends and then abandon it. That was the plan. But I had so much fun working on it that I just kept adding features to it and my friends invited their friends, and the game just kind of grew. And eventually, after doing that for about 3 years, I quit my job, and I've been doing it full time ever since. And I hope to continue working on it for the rest of my life. With all due respect, most players can't even make picks on Small Earth 1 Wasteland. I don't expect anyone under level 60 to be able to count to 3. It's possible, but this is what the guides are here for. This is my goal with the guides, is to help new players make reasonable picks and figure out strategy. I know plenty of people who, if you sit down to play a board game with them and you tell them all the rules of the game, they will play at a very high level. Like, they're just smart people and they can figure stuff out, and they can figure stuff out on the fly even before playing their first game. If you tell them all the rules, they can figure it out, and those people deserve to have a chance to know all the rules before their first game. Certainly not everyone is that way, and there are going to be people who read the whole guides and still play very badly, and that's fine. But at least for the people who want, I designed Warzone to be the game I would want to play as a player. And if I'm playing as a player, I want to know all the rules before my first game. I don't want to have to play 50 games and fail a bunch of time to learn the rules. What I'm designing guides is what I would want as a player. You've probably answered this before. I love local deployment, and I found my non-favorite local deployment maps are difficult to adapt to local deployment. Is it possible in the future to allow overlapping bonuses for local deployment games? So overlapping bonuses in local deployment is a challenging thing because if you have a territory that applies to multiple bonuses, if you try to deploy to that, then the local deployment system needs to know which bonus to allocate that deployment to. And there are some situations where it might be able to just pick one randomly and it might get it right, and then it might be fine. But there are also some situations where it might get it wrong. And then it ends up a really weird situation for you, the player, where you're like, oh crap, I deployed armies there, but I wanted them to be allocated to a different bonus than it was allocated to. And there's it's a difficult UI problem to go in and be like, all right, I want to shift this around or try to fix it. It is a solvable problem. I do believe it's solvable, but I actually tried to solve it back a long time ago when I first implemented local deployment and failed. I couldn't come up with an algorithm that worked well, that was elegant and clean and worked in every case. So I ended up dropping it. I do think it's possible. It's just not currently something that exists. You can feel free to put your votes into it on the feature request forum if that's something you want me to work on. We've played many cleanly games 3v3 using Phantom Tax, and it was important and necessary part of turn 1 every single time. I'm not saying whether it should be kept or not, but its utility is undeniable. Sure, I do say it's somewhat times useful. As I said, I think it's useful in my experience, and maybe I played different settings than you, but in my experience, it only helps out maybe 1 in 50 games. Less than 1 every 200 turns or something like that. Have I ever found it be useful? Maybe on different templates it has a higher percentage of helpful rate, but if you really want to know what the turn order is, you can either add a mod to tell you what it is, or you can use no cyclic and it will just tell you what the turn order is. But everyone's playing on the same rules, so it shouldn't change that template too much. But it is a new rule, or is a smart way to play your cards to get an advantage. Warzone is a video game, not a physical game with a written rulebook. I wonder if Fizzer has ever played Magic. I played Magic the Gathering when I was in middle school, when I was a kid. I think I started right when 3rd revision was coming out. And then there were still a few alpha and beta cards floating around when I first started. Can you get a deck with a unique gimmick? You can create your deck. It's like Minecraft. I'm not going to explain this tutorial how to farm ender pearls. Less multi-layered and more basic. So I don't agree it's more basic. Phantom attacks were not something that added any strategic depth. I talked about that already, so I won't go over it again. Halfway your opponent leaves a mechanic you could have used yourself on earlier too. If that's your goal, you should just link them to the community. A couple guides. You should link them to the community, to a couple community guides. So my design, link them. I'm not sure exactly. I lost track of the conversation, but I remember someone did this in the D&D deck, started going to dungeons. Knight Norman made some excellent guides for newbies. Yeah, I've read a couple of those. Not in detail, but I scanned them, skimmed them. Most games have harmless bugs and they turn into features. Watch any speedrun, you know how unintuitive bugs make the game more interesting. Little Easter eggs reward the most dedicated. Are you the pics and portraits guy on YouTube? No. I have never heard of that. Thanks for making a great game. I really enjoy the idle Warzone. I'm a bit curious. Are there being updates planned for the idle mode? There are some updates in the recent update for idle that aren't live yet. Just a few little things, a few fixes that we're going to get into in a minute. We're going down this list and we're still up here. But you asked for big updates. There are not currently any big updates planned, unfortunately. But if you have any ideas, feel free to submit them to the feature request form. Feature request form is for both idle and classic. Okay. So I think we're done talking about phantoms. So let's talk about, there are some things planned for idle. Maybe I don't know if I would consider them big, but there are some things I'm thinking about adding to idle in future updates. And some quality of life features, yes. I really like Warzone. Thank you for making it. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thanks for stopping by. Small Earth Panda Bomb card had a slight reduction to its boot time from 3 minutes per turn plus 5 banked to 2 minutes per turn plus 5 banked. So just a little bit reduction, trying to make it go a little faster. The template can drag on a little bit, so I'm trying to make it a little faster. When creating a game, the cards are now sorted in a better order. I was surprised when I went in here and I realized that these cards had never been sorted. Like when you come and create game, you click cards. Like the spy card, reconnaissance card, and surveillance card are all pretty similar cards and they weren't even together. So fix that. You are awesome, by the way, Fizzer. Thank you for the years of work. You are welcome, and you are awesome too. Glad the timer on Commander Bomb cards got lower, at least a little bit. Lower it more for the next update? Maybe. 2 minutes plus 5 minute banks seems reasonable. What would you think it should be, JK? In Mega Games, the smoky black texture colors. Okay, so somebody emailed me and they realized that if you're in a Mega Game, when you go to Mega Games and like Mega Games support up to 400 players, a whole bunch of new colors get unlocked. Some of those are textured colors, like it'll say blue horizontal, when it's like blue with horizontal lines. And some of them are smoky black dash horizontal or smoky black dash circles. And the problem is the circles and the lines are black. So smoky black, which is an almost black color, with black lines and circles, was basically invisible. I don't have a screenshot to show you, but it was basically invisible. So it was replaced with a new color called Midnight Blue. So Midnight Blue is now a thing, but only in mega games. And then just a little bug, someone emailed me. They had a game where it used a luck modifier and an attack kill ratio of 13%, which the normal attack kill ratio is 60%. So at 13% is quite a far off from normal. And when you do that and you click analyze, it was not showing a big enough range. Like there were attacks that were possible to take a territory that were not shown on the graph because the range was not calculated accurately. So that's fixed. 5 minutes bank for South of Small Earth is a lot. Maybe. Could be true. Divide by 2 and plus 7 ain't enough to math. You need 5 minutes. 2 plus 3 at most? Maybe. Yeah, I could see that. You like Smoky Black because you blend in? Depends on the template. I mean, depends on the map. I always feel like players who play Smoky Black mainly hinder themselves. Let's see. So this was something people asked for on the previous stream. If you're watching all these streams, shout out to you. You might remember on the previous stream somebody asked, or maybe it wasn't on the stream. Maybe it was in the forum actually. Now that I think about it, somebody asked for the players tab to now show how many wins, losses, and in progress game each player has. So that's done. This was I talked about in the last stream. When you highlight a player, so when you're looking at a tournament, let's see. Can I go to past tournaments? Go to one that's actually done. Yeah. When you click this little find button in the top left corner, you can highlight a player. And you can see it highlights their name. And this is easier to see now. Before it was kind of hard to see. Talked about that in the last stream. You're playing Diplomacy on Diplomacy World Huge, and I'm on the coast of Peru, and people don't realize I was there. Oh, because you're black and you're right next to the water, which is black. You like elephants? Cool. Please check out Pics and Portraits link later. Okay, I can check it out later. If I remember. Indented BB code list items. Just a little fix to BB code. Just so probably nobody knows this, but the guides that we talked about earlier are implemented with BB code. And BB code is the same thing that's used when you make a post on the forum. So you can make like italics or bold or links or images. So I made some improvements to the BB code system that exists in Warzone, primarily for guides, but yeah, some of those fixes bleed over into the forums and other places where BB code is used. Blast from the past, yeah. I mean, Warzone's been around since 2008, so some of our things have been carried forward that whole time. And then there's just some fixes. I don't know if I need to go over every single fix. A few fixes to the map designer people reported to me. The tournament refresh button was fixed. Fixes with the Warzone wheel. Fix the mail icon continuing to flash even after you deleted an unread mail. This was something that deleting mail was a new feature in the last update. But if you come in here and you delete mail, if somebody sent you mail and you deleted it before you even read it, then the little mail icon in the top right corner would continue flashing. And that's annoying. That shouldn't happen because there's no unread mail. You deleted it. That was a bug. So that's fixed now. I was also manually resetting that flag for every few times a day. So it wouldn't have blinked forever for people. But if you notice that, it's fixed now. I've been playing this for years. Lasted longer than my relationships. Not many games out there like that. Not many games like this out there. Your reason for Phantom Attack removal was good and understandable. To remove or explain the mechanics that are hidden. But what do I know? I'm just a level 59 player. Still learning to count to 3, I guess. Thanks. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you enjoyed the game. Speaking of BB code, was there a reason you didn't support Markdown? If I recall, you dropped support for that a long time ago. Yeah, what was it? So we had a problem. I used to use Markdown for forum posts, and I remember I screwed up when I implemented Markdown into the Warzone forum. Back then it was called the Warlight forum. I screwed up because I thought it was doing HTML encoding. I thought Markdown was doing that when it turns out it wasn't. So it turns out that people could basically insert raw HTML into the forum. And I thought that Markdown was preventing that from happening, and it actually wasn't. And which means, and if you know website programming, you know that if you let your users insert HTML into your website, you are open to a type of attack called a cross-site scripting attack. And in fact, somebody did do a cross-site scripting attack on the game. And I said, oh crap, I screwed up. And I went to fix that. And I could have probably still found a way to fix it with Markdown, but I could not find an easy way to fix it with Markdown. Whereas I did find an easy way to fix it with BB Code. So I said, whatever, I'm just going to BB Code. That was my fix to the cross-site scripting problem that existed back then. Yeah, little blast from the past. Story time. But that's why it switched. There's nothing inherently wrong with Markdown. I'm sure I could have made it work if I had spent more time on it. I've noticed that in chess, as a game gets late, it becomes fast. And we're like the other way around. As the game goes long, it takes more time, making it turn slower. Is there any way you can add some influence to the game mode to make it like that? So like the pace increases as the turns go up and armies decrease or something? Potentially. I think part of the reason you're experiencing that is because chess games get simpler as you have fewer pieces. I mean, chess is a little fast, maybe fast at the beginning because people have openings memorized, but then, but there are a lot of pieces. You kind of have to memorize openings because there's so many pieces. You can't evaluate the game state like from scratch every single time you play. But then as you get to the late stage chess games, you have so few pieces that it becomes a lot easier to compute. In my opinion, I think it's better to go the other way. I think it's better to have easy turns at the beginning and have the game get more complex as it goes on. I think that's just a more fun design. That's kind of how I've tried to design Warzone, but that's not fixed in stone or anything. That's just how the templates I make do it. Other templates could design that differently. One thing you could do is you could set a very low turn time and you could have a bunch of banked time. So if people use up their time, they're forced to go faster. I don't know. I mean, you see that in chess a lot where people are very low on their banked turn time, so they have to move fast, right? They're like, oh crap, I've got 5 seconds left. I got to make every move instantly. You could do something like that with Warzone using the banked turn time system. I've only been playing a year or so. I feel the strong history in this. It's beautiful. Thank you. Is there a way to decrease the auto refresh function? With minute games, I sometimes get booted because the game started because I wasn't given a notification because the refresh interval was too long. So it should be refreshing immediately. There's a feature in Warzone called WebSockets, or Warzone uses a feature called WebSockets, where it will communicate with the server, and the server should notify your clients immediately when the turn advances. And it sounds from your message like that feature isn't working for you, which is possible. Maybe you're behind a VPN or a firewall of some kind that's blocking WebSockets. What you can do, Delo, is submit a bug report to me. If you're on mobile, just go to, let me pull up my mobile app again. If you're on mobile, go to help, and probably do this like after playing a game. After playing a multiplayer game where you've had this problem, go to help, then go to contact, then go to report a bug, and tell me what happened. And what this will do is this will send me the log from your device, and I can look at it and see if WebSockets are working. Because there is a fallback. So let me complete my thought of what I was saying earlier. If for some reason WebSockets are not working, there is a fallback mechanism in Warzone. Then it will refresh occasionally, and I think it refreshes like it's not a fixed time, but I think depending on how long it's been since the game advanced, it might refresh every 10 seconds or every 30 seconds or something like that. And that refresh time, if the WebSockets are broken, maybe that refresh time needs to be increased. I think that would make sense, but for the most part, you shouldn't have to rely on the auto refresh function. It should update automatically immediately. So yeah, send me a bug report, and I'll look in to see if your WebSockets are working. And maybe you're just behind a VPN and your WebSockets can't work. And in which case, maybe we need to increase the refresh timer. The fallback refresh timer. Local deployment can definitely be sped up by being allowed to set roads where armies travel down the same path every turn unless you manually do it differently, which is preferable to the do it manually all the time the way it is now, in my opinion. Yeah, this is actually something I'm very interested in finding a solution to. I know Just a Dutchman has the local deployment helper mod, which helps with that. This is another case where Just a Dutchman is inspiring me to try to solve that problem built in the game. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but it's something I'm thinking about. Possibly someday, maybe, finding a better way to handle local deployment on big maps. Right now, my recommendation is just play local deployment on small maps, because then it's not a big deal. With your many years in web coding and advancements in Markdown input players, can a reason be brought back? I mean, at this point, I'm not really looking at bringing it back because BB code works fine. I don't know why it would be better to bring it back. One of the problems with it is you would break all the forum posts. I mean, I'm sure we could find a way to transition to it if we really had to. Right now, I don't know of any reason why it would be better to bring it back. Let me just say it that way. And I'm sure there is a reason. There's probably a reason you're asking for it. But so yeah, feel free to put it on the feature request form. That's the kind of thing that if a ton of people are requesting it for some reason, I would look into it. But outside of that, I don't know why we would switch. It seemed to me that the points needed to level up are disproportionate. Someone can get to level 50 in a few days, but 64 to 65 takes like a year. Yeah, so basically it's level 63, no, 60. Level 60 is what I consider basically the max level, basically the unlockable stop. Somewhere around there. After that, it gets exponentially higher. I prefer that to having a hard cap. We could have just had a hard cap on the levels and said, okay, after 63, you're done. You're at max level and you can't level up anymore. I don't like that as much. I like to still let people feel like they're making some progress towards something. So I have the levels be infinite, but then the points needed to get each level goes up exponentially, which is what you're talking about. But there are no unlockables at that point, so there's really nothing other than comparing yourself to other people. And comparing yourself to other people is fine because you're all on the same exponential treadmill. Especially on mobile, this kind of game is rare. No ads and no pay to win. Yep. Well, I make the kind of game that I personally enjoy, so I don't enjoy pay to win. It does have ads. Warzone does have ads because it's a free-to-play game. So I don't know why you say no ads, but... First used BB code on my motorcycle site in 1998. Oh. I know, but I think one of the biggest quality of life things for standard Warzone goes exponentially. The mod should be included in some templates. The levels. You can add army camp. You can add army camp cap to the settings. Let's see, just catching up on chat here. I always want to ask, leveling up takes forever. Is there anything I do to earn more experience? I mean, there are lots of ways to earn experience. My recommendation is just play multiplayer games. Just win multiplayer games. If you really want to go faster, you can join lottery games. I think lottery games are boring, though. Personally, it's not what I would recommend. That's the beauty of Phantom moves. Normal users aren't negatively affected by it, other than knowing the move order one turn later than more experienced players. I mean, for me, if I'm playing and people are using a mechanic that is basically a secret mechanic that's hidden and not explained, I would say that's a bad game design. Everything should be laid out, and everyone should be able to compete on the same level. Feature isn't relevant for most players, though. Okay. I got inspired by the community and never would create these mods without them. Absolutely. The advice to playing LD is don't. My advice to playing local deployment is play on small maps. Don't play on large maps. That's tedious. Markdown has some features that BB Code doesn't have, like hyperlinks with a different text as the URL. I mean, BB Code can do that too. I explicitly chose to not do that in BB Code. Mostly as a reaction to the cross-site scripting attack. that was actually used in the cross-site scripting attack. They made a link that made it look like it was going to one place when it actually went somewhere else. And I said, yeah, we need to protect against that. So I made the executive decision that I wanted all URLs to show where they're going when you were going to click on them. And maybe it's not strictly necessary. I could certainly enable alternative links on URLs. That would be actually really easy to do in BB code. Anyone with level 63 plus a couple years of playing is so much. I think Discord being the main platform for most gaming communities definitely made Markdown much more used. That's what happened. See, we were using Markdown long before Discord ever existed. Can we have the ability to add different types of armies? For example, I know there are commanders and normal armies. Can there be different kinds of armies that have different interactions with different kinds of armies? Yeah, so we have special units. We have a whole bunch of mods that adds different kinds of special units, like priests and all sorts of stuff. So yes, Warzone does support that. It's just right now it's all in mods and commanders. They're all small ads, but pretty much all other mobile games have to see a video just blow my mind. It does. And does the fact that more popular games have those and people willingly play them? Yeah. Everyone wants Phantom moves back. Not everyone. Someone earlier said they were fine with it. See? Leia doesn't want Phantom moves back. There you go. Already disproving your statement. Most of the mods are too much for me, to be honest. It puts me off in the end, unless something catches me. Yeah, I understand there are a lot. That's one of the problems with Warzone is, well, not necessarily a problem, but one of the attributes of Warzone is games are already extremely customizable. Mods are really there for people that just want even more customization. Okay, where were we? So fixed the mail icons. This was something JK asked for. Wanted tournament name and metadata into the page. That way, if you link a tournament to someone on somewhere like Discord, Discord will be able to show them the name of the tournament instead of just being generic. Fix map thumbnail. Fix zooming on touchpad. This is something that somebody emailed me about. On many touchpad devices, if you try to zoom in and out, it would go way too fast. So that's fixed. Fixed editing favorite tournaments on the website. I don't need everybody to go through every single bug fix, but or the mod fixes. I think that will be, unless there's something on here that somebody specifically wants me to talk about, I will just gloss over most of these things. Do you know of this game called Battle Dawn from the old Congregate days? No, I do not know that one. I did play a whole lot of games on Congregate back in the day. It's possible I played Battle Dawn, I just don't remember it. I played so many, but does not ring a bell off the top of my head. Is it possible to make the stream Sunday? No, at least not this stream, because we've already started it. But yeah, generally, I have done Sunday streams before, but generally the highest traffic time for Warzone is weekdays at around 1 p.m. West Coast US time. Which I think is kind of funny, because that means people are playing from work. But that's when I tend to do the streams, just because it's when most people are playing. I know it doesn't work for everyone. Sorry if it doesn't work for you. But that's why we have this thread, so people can ask questions even when you're not here. And then I post the video on YouTube. Good, I remember to start recording. Sometimes I forget to record the stream. Have you gotten grief from Hasbro ever? Any stories there? Yes. Hasbro's lawyers did email me once, many, many years ago, and we had a whole conversation, and they were very nice. They're good people. And we resolved the problem, and there is no longer a problem. Thanks for the update. I believe some minor and sometimes major irritating situations are dissolved. For example, to watch ads to spin the wheel. Yeah. What I also just suggest to think, some settings are really diverse, and it is a real puzzle to make successful out-of-the-box combination of settings, which is fun to play. Is it possible a guide can help you here? Yes. So I do plan to make guides for game creation as well. I will say that those are lower priority. My first priority is getting all the game mechanics in Warzone Classic games done. And then I'm going to go on to things like game creation and tournaments and quick match and ladders and clan wars and all that stuff. And after that, all that is done, I'm going to make guides for Idle too. Also, with local deployment, ability blocks to put value 0 on overlapping bonus without having to use a mod for it. Yeah, that's a possible feature. You could add that to the feature request form if it doesn't already exist. Just catching up on chat. Okay. Please adjust the spin wheels has more diverse prices. They don't necessarily need to be bigger, but for example, 40% is 1 coin. Yeah, so one of the challenges with the Warzone wheel is making sure it doesn't give out so many coins that it makes all other sources of coins irrelevant. So that's why like such a big percentage of it is you just win 1 coin. It kind of has to be that way. Otherwise it would be too profitable. I did do a bunch of math when I made the coin wheel to try to get it down, and that's why it has to be that way, unfortunately. Did you remove the ability to highlight all of your territories at once in the last update? So yes, as part of the Find Me feature, when you click the statistics thing, you basically get it into groups, which I think is better, because then it makes it much easier to visualize where the person is. You can see basically all of their groups. I'm hoping this is better. That's the hope. Why is the title of this thread saying December 5th? Because I screwed it up and I edited it after. Let's see. Always ridiculous update every couple months. Not sure if you're willing to tell, but what is the real chance to hit the jackpot on the coin wheel? I have never revealed that number. That will go to my grave. It's a pretty low chance. I'll just say that. It's a pretty low chance to win the 1,000 coins on the coin wheel. When the game sets out random picks, can the system be set up so no one is next to each other and more of a random spread? Yes. So the way that works is when you are creating the game, there's this thing called distributions. If you click on change distribution settings, there are these distributions called like, now this may not give you exactly what you want. There's one called random warlords distribution, which picks 1 random bonus from each territory, from each bonus. Now that will not guarantee that no one's next to each other, but a lot of maps have what is called, let's look at I know the original Earth map has it. A lot of maps have a distribution called warlords. And warlords is basically a predefined distribution by the game creator, where they've picked 1 territory from each bonus. And usually the map creator will pick a different territory, territories that aren't adjacent to each other. You can see that's how the Earth map is set up. Now, not every map maker does this, and in fact, I think most map makers don't do this, unfortunately. This is kind of a pattern that I established early on when I first started making maps in this Warzone, I guess, and it was called Warlight back then. But early on, I tried to establish this pattern. Unfortunately, most map makers didn't really follow it, but I do agree it's a useful thing. A lot of maps do have a warlords distribution, which will start a bunch of territories that are not adjacent. And the idea there is you're guaranteed to basically have at least 1 buffer between every player. There's a mod for that. You can always also override this and just do custom scenario, and then you can determine exactly where the starts will be. So you can set it up to make sure that nobody's next to each other. That's the other option you have. Okay. I've been meaning to ask this for months. Yeah, but I never knew that MAs happened until after the fact. I've been wanting to get a min-max diplomod that would require war declarations rather than just being able to form alliances for mega games. I'm told it's not plausible enough to pursue it current maximum execution time. Before you said you would consider raising the maximum execution time for mega games. Will, are you still willing to do that? Yes, that actually happened as part of this update. If you look on the forum, a whole bunch of new mods are now usable in mega games. There's 50 new mods. They're now usable in mega games. So basically the idea here is we need to make sure that no mod gets added to mega games that's going to cause the game to break. which can easily happen because a lot of mods aren't tested. I mean, no mods are tested with like 400 player games. And some mods do a lot of complex logic, and if a mod does too much complex stuff, it can exceed its maximum time limit and break when suddenly inserted into a 400 player game. So we need to measure the performance of mods carefully and only add the mods that are actually fast to mega games, which is done now. A whole bunch more have been added. Not every mod. By the way, on this list, the way I chose these mods was I looked at any mods that are at least as fast as Diplomacy 2, which was the main test case we used on the last mega game, the Mega Diplo game I showed earlier. Any mod that was at least used in 5 big games, and I define big games as 20 people or more, that was at least as fast as Diplomacy 2 was added, and that's this list. Just catching up on chat here. Okay. So, yes, and hopefully more will be added over time as well. Will users be able to add guide content too eventually? Will be useful for making something like modded games or template-specific guides? Yeah, I do think that would be cool. Something like modded games. Making a guide for a mod, I think, would actually be really useful. I could see that integration happening someday. It's not a high priority for me at the moment. I need to finish the guides for the built-in mechanics before I worry about guides for mods. But the way I would envision that is if a guide had a file named like, if a mod had a file named like guide.bbcode, then the mod could pick that up and it could turn that file into a guide. Sure, I think that's a reasonable feature. I was just playing an idle battle and made me realize how silly the clanmates targeting option is. Yes, it is silly. Basically, my thinking on that is I thought about having a button that would allow people to attack non-clanmates, but I don't want... I think that would be overpowered, basically. You don't want people ganging up, or you don't want people working together, really. It's not really in the spirit of idle battles, in my opinion. But having a button to target clanmates, I thought was just something in there for fun. I don't know why anyone would really use that button, to be honest. Unless you're a troll and you're just like attacking your friends. You want to be like, yeah, I bombed you. And some people are like that with their friends. Even something simpler than a modded game, but also things like GAC or Bork could come with community-provided template tips, trips. Yes, I do think that is cool. I like the idea of doing something like that. I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head how that would integrate into the guide system, but I definitely like the idea of having template-specific information. I noticed that in the guides order, the upcoming mods guide is before some of the cards. And I suggest moving it to the end. Yes, I agree. It should be moved to the end. When will there be new templates for Clan Wars? I thought that was supposed to be a regular occurring thing every 5 or 10 seasons. For that, I rely on you guys asking for it. It's not currently in like an automated system, but if you guys want to do a vote for new templates for Clan Wars, feel free to ask for it. We can do it. Put it on the feature request form. See how many votes it gets. You are allowed 50 more mods to be used in Mega Games. Great to hear. What was the biggest reason for mods including that list? I already covered that. Would there be a Christmas or New Year's Eve tourney this year? So I'm not planning on hosting a specific Christmas or New Year's Eve tourney. Maybe members of the community are. And tournaments get hosted almost pretty much every day. So I'm sure there will be tournaments around that time. The tournaments I create are automated. Basically, the way my automated script works is it scans the open tournaments list, and if there are no open tournaments at any point in time, it will create a tournament. The idea is you want there to usually be one, but it'll only create one per day, so there's not always going to be one. But would love to see a 2v2 KOTH template in there. What's wrong with more templates? I love playing as little of the same as possible. Please no more mods or templates on Clan Wars. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an option. You don't have to do it. Back in version 5.12, idle notifications were added related to artifacts and idle time. I recall there being toggles for these notifications in the app settings. Can't seem to find it. So they don't have toggles specifically. The way the idle notifications work is they drop notifications based on categories. And like a category would be like idle time hit, or your artifact dig is complete. And the way that works is you can long hold on the notification and it will pop up a menu, at least on Android. This is how it works. You long click on the notification and it will pop up all the categories Warzone offers, and you can turn on or off each individual category. Category being like idle time elapsed or artifact dig complete. And so that's how you turn them off. I think iPhone has something similar. I just don't know how you access it on iPhone off the top of my head. Swap picks and randomized bonuses are two mods that are by far the best, and most people are actually a lot of fun. Yes, those are mods that don't change the gameplay much. Why does Seasonal Ladder have a forced finish? So the Seasonal Ladder runs for a specific duration. If we go to ladders, Seasonal Ladder. So you can see like this one started on September 27th. So they run for, how many days they run for? Ends on December 1st. So they run for a little over a month, right? 10? No, they run for 2 months. Seasonal ladders run for about 2 months, and then they have an end date. And at that end date, we want to declare a winner. The reason we declare winners is because there are prizes. You can see all the prizes here. First place gets 2,000 coins. Gets a secret color called elephants. Gets legendary artifacts. And we want to be able to give out those rewards. So we need all the games to be done on that date. Now, it doesn't create games like for the last 10 or 15 days or something like that. So the hope is that most games will be done by then. But if a game is not done, then it needs to be force finished so that we can actually know what the final rankings are and give out the rewards. The way force finish works is a very simple algorithm. It just looks at who has the highest income. I think it multiplies income by 2, and then it adds the number of armies on the map or something like that. And whoever has the highest is the winner. Another way you could have done the seasonal ladder is you could have just waited until every game finished before giving out the rewards. The problem with that is some people are just going to be really slow. There's going to be like 1 or 2 games that are just taking forever. You could be in a situation where like the last 4 seasons of the seasonal ladder haven't had winners declared yet because there's like one game where people are just taking forever. They're running around in circles or they're just thinking too long. And you really don't want to be in that situation. You want to be in a situation where you're like starting the next seasonal ladder and the previous one's not declared, or the previous 2 are not declared. Like you could get really bad situations if you let people take as long as they want. All of them will get more games than Strat 2v2. Given that, any other notifications that can be managed on Warzone, why do the idle notifications have to be managed by the mobile OS? So the idle notifications are different because they're actually offline notifications. They're generated by your phone, whereas all the other notifications are sent by the Warzone server. And the Warzone server is in control of them. The ones on your phone, Warzone server actually has no control over. They're just scheduled on a timer. The reason that they're local is because you might not have an internet connection. Warzone Idle is designed that it could be played offline. So if you have no internet connection, the notifications will still work for you. The idle notifications. Is there an API? Yes, there's an API. If you go to warzone.com/API, you can read all about all the APIs. Did you win the lawsuit yet? It is still waiting on the judge. Nothing has changed. Okay. I've been talking for a while. And that is the end of this forum post, which means that is the last question we had pre-prepared. And because we've already talked about all the updates, I had this report bug page open. I was going to talk about if anyone reported a bug. I was going to say go to the report bug page, but nobody reported a bug, so never talked about it. After we finish all this questions in chat, that will be the end of the stream. For game using distribution for more than 2 teams, and players choose starting territories for allowed position, it'd be interesting to have different color for each opposing team. What lawsuit? So we're in a lawsuit with Activision. Activision sued us. So the real short 10-second explanation is, we launched this game called Warzone, or I launched this game called Warzone back in 2017. And in 2020, 3 years later, Activision launched Call of Duty Warzone, and they wanted to trademark the word Warzone. But trademark law says whoever's using the name first gets rights to it. They didn't like that very much because they wanted to have all the rights to it. They sued us to try to get the rights to the word Warzone. We've been fighting that lawsuit now for 5 years. Sorry to press you on this again, but I would like to know... Sorry, let me finish this. Interesting, a different color for each opposing team. So you can change people's colors in the bottom right corner in the players panel. You can also try the new Find Me feature, which if you're on mobile, you might not have yet. And other than that, that's the current options that exist. If you want more than that, you can submit to the feature request form. I would like to know what makes the Phantom delay different from using any of these things. I'm not sure what you mean by these things. I saw this before in regards to the Phantom move. I don't see it as a new rule, rather as a smart way to make use of another rule that was already laid out. So I don't see it that way because it's really counterintuitive to issue Phantom attacks. If you just click attack and click OK, it will give you an error message saying you can't attack with 0 armies. It is not something that is built into the game as an official feature. If I was a brand new player and I was playing it, I would see it as almost an exploit rather than a built-in feature. That's just kind of the way I view it. I asked if there were any legal stories. How many more are there? I think you covered about all of them. Okay. And by the way, I'm currently at 19,992 multiplayer games. There was a chance that I was going to play the 20,000th game on stream, but I was a bit away. I was playing a few games before the stream started to see if I could get up to 9999, but didn't quite make it. I was going to play the 20,000th game on stream, but that didn't happen. I was even playing 2 games at a time, which is something I never do. 2 real-time games at the same time in quick match. It's kind of chaotic, switching back and forth. Yeah, it was a fun time. All right, that is going to be the end of the stream for today. So thank you all so much for coming here and hanging out with me and asking all the great questions. And I hope to see you in the next stream. I hope you all have a good week. See you later.